Hello you all, welcome back to another video. My name is Rayshawn. For those of you who don't know me, you guys, so we have a client makeup tutorial for today. It is her birthday and we are just going to be doing a simple glam look as she does not get her makeup done often at all. So she didn't really know what she wanted to do. So we just did something simple. Typically with my clients don't know what it is that they want. I kind of get that they don't want too much. So we went with my Flawless Soft Glam Makeup. Okay, so starting off with the brows, I've already did her brows. Actually, I used the Morphe eyebrow pencil, and now I'm going in with some Juvia's Place Eye Magic Concealer, and I'm just using a flat brush to place the concealer under her brows, just making sure everything is even and making sure that her brows are carved out perfectly. I'm doing this step, as you can see, in real time. I didn't speed it up because I want you guys to see the process, well, at least some of the process, as to how I do the brows and how I do take my time when doing the brows, because you want them to come out as even as possible, because sometimes doing brows, one can be higher than the other and things like that. So what I'm doing to the bottom, I'm going to also do to the top as well. I like to use concealer to clean up the brows because to me it just manipulates the brows in a way that you want them to go. You can mess up, you can use concealer, and the concealer will clean any mistakes. Even if the client has hairs under her brows, the concealer will also conceal it. It will hide it as well. So that's why I like to use the concealer to clean up the top and the bottom of the brows. They just give the face more life. I don't know what word I'm trying to use, but I just really like to use the concealer. So anyways, I'm going to be taking a brush, and I'm going to, like a blending brush, and I'm going to be blending out that concealer just to make sure that there are no harsh lines and that the concealer is just evenly blended. One of the things I did want to say while doing her brows was that you don't want to take too much concealer when cleaning the brows. I used to make that mistake all the time in the beginning when I was doing brows. I used to take so much concealer. I thought that it took so much concealer to clean the brows, but it didn't. It just left my forehead and my eyes with just excess amounts of concealer. So anyways, moving on, I'm just making sure that we, blend it out nicely. And as you can see, her brows are nice and even. And of course, later on, we're going to go back in and just clean the brows up even the more and make sure that everything is just, perfect. Because sometimes the makeup can take away from the brow just a little bit, not really. Now I'm going in with that Juvia's Place Eye Magic Concealer, and I'm putting that all over her eyelids. I'm going to be using this concealer as her base for her eyeshadow, and I'm just using the e.l.f. sponge to blend it out and make sure that this concealer is even and blended. Going in with a Juvia's Place palette. I want to say this is the I'm not sure, you guys, what palette it is because my makeup is in the kit and I'm doing this video in the middle of the night. So again, I will leave all the products down in the description box. So I'm going in with a soft brown shade, and I'm placing that in her crease, using it for the transition. I'm going back and forth using back and forth motions, or just kind of swipe motions, going back and forth, but I'm not doing it too harsh or too hard. I'm just making sure that the color comes on and just making sure that it's evenly distributed. So now I'm going to go into another shade, which is more of it's just kind of like a brown. And I'm going to be placing that in her crease, just kind of building up the transition a little bit more, not necessarily needing too much depth or anything like that. I just want to make sure that her transition and that her colors just show up enough for the shade I'm going to put on her lid. Okay, so now I'm about to go in with a shimmery eyeshadow, and this one is a soft champagne gold, you guys already know. And I'm just using a MAC brush, and which is a flat concealer brush, and I'm placing this shade all over her eyelid, and I'm actually taking it all the way up to her crease. So I kind of want to give it more. I kind of want to just, go with the shape of her eyes, which are more like a almond round shape. So that's just what I'm doing to her eyes. I didn't cut any creases and I didn't do any of those things. I just basically took the eyeshadow up to her natural crease and just kind of use that as my guide, and I just blended it out. And as you guys can see, I'm not taking that shimmery shade on her lid all the way out to the outer corners. I typically never do that. I just kind of save the outer corners for a matte shade, and I just blend it together so that it looks nice and even. So I'm just building up that lid shade, just building it up and patting it on just to make sure that the shades are evenly distributed. And when you're doing makeup, you want to make sure that the eyes are even. Sometimes we just kind of forget that we're doing two eyes and that they need to be even and they need to look the same. It's so important that when we are doing eyeliner that we take our time with the eyeliner and not rush this process, because it's just so much easier to mess up with liner. We don't want to get carried away. Don't want the liner to be too big or the lines to be uneven or scribbled or whatever the case may be. So please, you guys, take your time. When I'm doing liner, I don't rush the process. I make sure that my client's eyes are closed and that we're not really talking too much during the eyeliner process, because I just want to make sure that it comes on even. I do not rush liner. Anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to say that because that's just an important step. So I'm going to be also taking a black eyeshadow, and I'm going to be taking it and I'm going to be smudging it on her liner later on, just to kind of give it like a small tiny smoky effect. I'm using the MAC Black Track gel liner in her waterline, and now I'm going in with the Neutrogena Hydro Boost moisturizer, just to kind of put it all over her face and make sure that her face is, moisturized. I did wipe her face with a makeup wipe, and then now I'm going in with the Too Faced RX primer, and I'm just wiping it all over her skin with a flat brush. Here I'm going in with the foundation from MAC. This is in the shade NC44 and NC47. So I mix those two shades together. I typically mix foundations. I always mix at least two foundations because I want to make sure that I get the best shade possible for my clients. I did go in and put her foundation on with a flat foundation brush first. Then I went in with the e.l.f. sponge to blend out the rest of the foundation to make sure that it's evenly distributed and there are no harsh lines. That's what I love about the beauty sponge, that when you use it, it doesn't leave any lines, any harsh lines. Now, if the sponge is too wet, it kind of will leave spots. It'll actually take off some of the foundation, so be careful not to have a soaking wet sponge. So next I'm going in with a Juvia's Place Eye Magic Concealer. I did use the shade number 9. It was more so close to her skin tone because I wanted to make sure that under her eyes there was no gray areas and that it was just fully covered. Sometimes the foundation don't always do it, so I kind of go in with a concealer, and that concealer from Juvia's Place is a full coverage concealer. I'm going in with a lighter concealer on top because I want to really highlight underneath her eyes, and I'm putting that underneath her eyes, her nose, her forehead, her chin, her cupid's bow, and everywhere else. Starting out blending with the chin. As you guys already know, I always do the chin first and do the eyes last because we want the eyes to have as much coverage as possible. I'm going to be going in with the MAC Studio Fix Smooth Wear Concealer, and I'm taking the shade, I think it's like NC50 or NW50, I'm not sure. And I'm using it as a cream contour. I felt like I needed her skin to be a little bit more bronzy, and I didn't want to just use the powder because sometimes I'm noticing the powder is just not dark enough. And I love the way that the contour look going into the hairline. It looks more natural as it kind of fades down into the concealer, and everything it just looks seamless, and it just looks really, really good. So I love the fact that this concealer worked perfectly for her. And as you can see, I'm blending that concealer going upward in an upward motion because I don't want to drag her face down or have her face looking muddy or just, you know, looking crazy. So I just made sure that I blended out that concealer really, really good. And I'm using my sponge going back in just to make sure that it's blended and there are no harsh lines. You want to always have your sponge in hand when you are doing a contour like this because you want to make sure that everything is blended. Going in with the MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade NC42 and C4. I'm taking this Real Technique brush and I'm just blending that under her eyes. I'm kind of lightly patting it underneath just to kind of just lay down that concealer, take away some of those oils, so that when I go in with the translucent powder, it's not going to stick to her foundation. Stick to her concealer. I want to make sure that everything is just blended and it's just seamless. So I always go in with the MAC powder first. I just like the way it sets under the eyes. It just gives it a very smooth look. So I'm taking that powder under her eyes, the bridge of her nose, her forehead, her chin, and everywhere else. So now I'm going in with the NC45 Studio Fix powder, and I'm just setting the rest of her face with that powder, just locking in her makeup. Now I'm going in with the Essence matte, I think it's the Essence matte bronzing palette, and I'm using them shades to not set the contour, but just further add more contour to her face and warm it up a little bit more. And I'm just contouring her nose. Now I'm going in with that Dermablend translucent powder, and I did a reverse contour, and then I also put it on her nose as well. I'm using the blush. This blush is from the Morphe Saharian 2 palette, and I'm just placing that all over her cheeks. And I'm just blending out that powder because I always tell you guys you want to blend out that powder underneath them cheeks quick, okay? Because it will stick and it look like lines. Going in with the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I love this spray so much. To set her makeup, I told you guys I will go back in with the Morphe pencil just to kind of fill her brows in the front a little bit more and make sure that everything is even. You always want to make sure that even towards the end of the makeup, when you say that you're finished, you just kind of want to go back and check the makeup, make sure that the brows are still fully on, that, you know, everything is just looking even, because you don't want to get your client get up and you've missed a step and you like, oh my God, I didn't add this, I didn't add that. I do it all the time. Sometimes I forget steps. I'm like, oh God. So now I'm going in with the Nika K lip liner in the shade brown, and I'm just lining her lips with this pencil, taking my time also with the lips, because the lips, I'm sorry, but you have to take your time on lip liner. Lip liner is just as intricate as the brows or liner. You got to take your time. Now I'm going with the Morphe liquid lipstick, and I'm just placing this all over her lips. I typically have my clients block for me at least once just to kind of blend in the lipsticks, because I don't like to put on too much too soon. Now I'm going to go back in with a lip wand, and I'm adding some gloss to her lips, just because I feel like, I don't know, I just love the way gloss looks on her lips. Just make it, because I think a lot of people's lips be dry and dehydrated, including mine. So I feel like gloss just makes the lips look so much more healthier. That's why I love gloss, definitely in the wintertime. Then I'm going in with some highlighter from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sun Dip palette, and I'm adding that to the high points of her cheeks, her forehead, her nose, under her brow bones, her tear duct, and just everywhere else to, you know, give her the glow that she needs. Okay, I'm going in with these lashes that I got from Amazon. I did cut them to fit her eye shape. You want to always cut your lashes, and make sure you cut your lashes, because sometimes they can go into the client's eyes and they can be really irritating for the client. So please make sure you measure them first and then cut them and then place them on their eyes. So important. Okay, you guys, so this is a finished look. I hope that you like it. Please subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Also, comment down below and let me know what you thought about this video. I will see you guys in my next video. I love you guys. Bye.